In 2017, the first interstellar object ever detected passing through our solar system showed up on astronomers' radar. They called it Oumuamua. It accelerated as it left the solar system, with no tail and no outgassing. Every comet we've ever seen that accelerates like that leaves something behind. Oumuamua left nothing, and a Harvard professor looked at that data and said the most honest explanation that he could find was that it might be a light sail. Something thin and reflective, something that nature doesn't produce. And the response to that was brutal. Other scientists lined up to take shots at him, saying that he was just chasing headlines. And his name is Avi Loeb, and at the time he was the chair of Harvard's astronomy department. Last week, the White House, the Pentagon, the FBI, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence put him in charge of an official UAP Science Advisory Council. Imagine that. The guy they laughed at for having crazy, outlandish ideas is now running the Pentagon's UAP investigation. Before we get into what that actually means, let's discuss who Avi Loeb is beyond the Oumuamua controversy. He was the chair of Harvard's astronomy department for 3 terms, the longest serving in the department's history. He directed Harvard's Institute for Theory and Computation for 2 decades. He founded the Black Hole Initiative. He served on the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. And for the last 5 years, he's been running something called the Galileo Project at Harvard, which is a search for evidence of extraterrestrial technological artifacts near Earth. He's running 3 observatories and he's built AI tools that are scanning millions of objects. And all of that was built while the mainstream scientific community was still treating this topic as career poison. He wasn't waiting or asking for permission, he just started doing the work. And when the government needed someone to make sense of what they're seeing, they called the person who had already been doing it for years, while everyone else was looking away. Loeb told Newsweek that they're trying to discover whether all technological objects near Earth are human-made. Not that they're alien, but whether they're all ours or not. Some of what's being reported near military installations might be adversary drones. Some might be classified domestic programs. And some, in his words, might be something else entirely. He told the New York Post that the government is not a scientific organization. They don't have first-class scientists, so we can help them figure things out. The council's first meeting was last Tuesday, and they're operating on zero budget, and all the information shared with them will be unclassified. Loeb did confirm that specifically. He described it as a detective story that can be resolved with better data. Now, the council has been described publicly by Loeb himself, but no government agency has issued an official statement confirming its mandate or formal status. But ODNI did confirm that the first meeting took place, and the full picture of what authority the council actually has is still forming. The third batch of UAP files dropped on June 12th, which was the same day Loeb announced the council publicly. 53 documents, images, videos, and audio recordings from the CIA, FBI, NASA, and the Pentagon. The document Loeb specifically highlighted, and that I think most coverage is missing, is a report dated June 5, 2026 by Dr. John Kozlowski. He's the director of the AARO, the Pentagon's own UAP investigation office. The report covers an October 2023 incident where federal law enforcement agents in the western United States watched an orange orb appear and release clusters of smaller red orbs. The red orbs moved in coordinated patterns, changing altitude, and in at least one case sat completely stationary above a ridgeline for several hours before vanishing. 40% of the reported phenomena lack a reasonable explanation and remain unresolved. That's in Kozlowski's signed report. There's also a 2022 report from 5 soldiers at Fort Carson near Colorado Springs who watched a white potato-shaped object hovering near Cheyenne Mountain. Cheyenne Mountain is NORAD, and that happened in broad daylight. Their description was creamy, whitish, obsolescent, somewhat translucent, made of what looked like articulating panels. Then it cloaked and vanished within seconds. And the files include a 1962 NASA audio recording of Gordon Cooper, a Mercury astronaut, describing groups of silver metallic disks flying above his altitude of 40,000 feet, changing direction faster than his aircraft could during military training over Europe in 1951. Loeb's position on all of this is either we're dealing with a massive breach of national security or we're dealing with the biggest discovery ever made in human history. Those are the 2 options he sees. And he's the one the government called to figure out which one it is. A lot of people have been waiting for disclosure, some kind of official moment where the government stands up and says, we've confirmed non-human intelligence and they're visiting Earth. That's probably not how this is going to go. What's actually happening is more gradual. They're moving issues from fringe into mainstream national security discourse. The scientist that was dismissed for years for taking this seriously is now officially advising the agencies investigating it. The Pentagon's own director is signing documents saying unrecognized technology in his explanation for 40% of what agents witnessed. The question being asked at the highest levels of government is no longer whether UAP are real, it's what they are and where they came from. Loeb said something to News Nation that I think is a good projection for where this is heading. He said he'd be delighted to come back in a few months and discuss the progress they're making. He described himself as an optimist. If there is evidence for non-human technology, how should that information be communicated to the public without triggering societal unrest or collapse of the financial markets? That's a question that he's actively thinking about. The man running the government's UAP Science operation is already planning how to tell us something. The fourth release is coming. They've confirmed that more files are on the way, and the guy they laughed at is the one who's going to be reading them. Loeb's account of the Advisory Council and his analysis on all three files is on his Medium page. Just search Avi Loeb UAP and you'll find everything there. And he writes most of his stuff in plain language, so it's pretty easy to digest. The Kozlowski report is at war.gov/UFO in the third release documents. So is the Fort Carson report and the Gordon Cooper NASA audio. Loeb's book, Extraterrestrial, covers the Oumuamua argument in full detail. So what are your thoughts on Avi Loeb getting ran through the ringer and trying to get discredited for his thoughts on Oumuamua and 3I Atlas, saying that they may be of artificial origin? And now he's running an official government UAP investigation. We all have seen the videos that are dropping on these files, and we all see the stuff that everyone's sharing, so I don't think I need to regurgitate that. I like to dig into some of these files and find some of these loopholes, because this is one of those things that stands out to me. This guy that was ridiculed and mocked for his ideas that something may be artificial. And now the government chose him to lead their program to determine whether these things that are visiting us are artificial or they're human-made. I would love to hear your thoughts on all these files in general. We've all seen the videos of these crazy objects flying around and doing all this crazy stuff. Some of these files that I'm looking into are kind of crazy also. But how do you think all this is going to play out? I personally don't know. Are they going to come and say, hey, we're not alone? Or is it going to be one of those situations where they slow roll it and it's study after committee after study and they slowly roll things out until we're confused again and have no idea what's going on? It seems like things are pointing in a lot of different directions, and usually when that happens, I think it's intentional. They're wanting to confuse people and not really put them on the right trail. I wanted to get this extra video out this week because I saw this, and I'm like, that's pretty interesting. And I know a lot of people are looking at the videos and the crafts moving around all over the place, and there's not a ton of deep diving into the documents themselves, so I figured I would share this with you. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your time. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe, like this video, and share it, and do all that fun stuff. I'm trying to really take this channel to the next level, and I appreciate all of your support. Until next time, I'll talk to you later.